Hi, this is Charles from our course, and today we're going to be going over how to answer evidence-based reading questions. Now, this really ties in with the process of elimination and the active reading strategies we discussed in the main idea video. So if you haven't seen those, it would probably be useful to go check those out before we get to this. Really, with all the reading questions, right, it's more of a comprehensive strategy, right? It's not just, an individual thing for, each specific question types. It's really how you view passages and the sort of information that you're looking for that will be most useful here. As I'm doing this, if you have questions or need anything clarified, please let me know in the comments. Always happy, again, to go back and, explain things in greater detail. So please, take advantage of that. Okay, so the first thing. So while evidence questions might seem very different than main idea questions, right? They're typically related to the main idea. And again, the text passages on the SAT, they're going to be about 80 to 100 words. There's not a lot of space to hide just extraneous or unnecessary details. So again, it's super important you take the time to do that active reading strategy. So for like a fiction passage, you need to be looking for elements of characterization, setting, and plot. And again, those elements should help you figure out, what's the larger idea of that fiction passage or, what's the larger theme. And then for nonfiction passages, you need to look for the topic, main idea, and especially the purpose. And again, that purpose should be reflected in the main idea. If it's an informative passage, right, the main idea should be, okay, what is the passage explaining? If it's a persuasive passage, the main idea should contain some sort of claim that the author is trying to prove. Once again, as I covered in that main idea video, focus on the words and information you know. You don't need to get distracted by parts that you don't understand. Once again, the SAT cannot evaluate if you understand 100% of the question. They can only evaluate if you get the question right. So again, don't freak yourself out if you don't understand 100% of a passage. Okay, so as I referenced, when asked about specific details or to make an inference, think about how it connects to the larger idea. Again, detail questions are details that support that main idea, or if the question says something that weakens the idea, right? Obviously the opposite. But they're going to relate to the main idea. So I can't hammer home enough. As you are looking at answer choices, constantly be thinking, okay, how does this relate to what I know about the larger idea of the passage? Okay, now just, the forms that evidence-based questions can take. It's a very broad, type of question, and it can take a lot of different forms. The common ones, though, are like which choice logically completes the text, or like which finding would either support or weaken. It's going to be one or the other. It's obviously not both. And then according to the text, like which of the following is true about the topic again. So just what detail would support those larger ideas. Now, as you're doing these, I think it's helpful. You can almost think of these evidence-based questions as like a main idea question in reverse, right? So like with the main idea question, if they ask what's the main idea or what's the main purpose of the passage, right? You're looking at the details of the passage and then thinking, okay, what's, obviously the larger idea here. With these detail questions, with these evidence-based questions, you're thinking, what's the main idea of the passage, and then what details would support that main idea? So again, it's really two sides of the same coin, and that's why it's so important that you really have just a more general, comprehensive strategy as you're doing any reading type question. Okay, let's now apply some of these strategies to an actual passage and some questions. Okay, so our first passage, much like fast food chains and food and beverage companies pivoted to providing more substantial offerings after the growing backlash to junk food, it might behoove online platforms to consider implementing business models focused on more sustainable growth and healthier user engagement. Sites and social media platforms have already started overhauling their algorithms to move away from funneling users down increasingly tangential niches and instead encourage them to explore a more diverse array of interests. It is far from clear, though, whether these solutions will have any meaningful impact. Attempts to put the genie back in the bottle may very well backfire. Okay, so as I'm reading that, first of all, it's quite clear this is a persuasive passage. The author is arguing a point, right? Before we get to our active reading strategy, let's just take a look at the question, which is which finding, if true, would directly weaken, okay, the key here, weaken the author's claim about the likelihood of changing algorithms. So before I look at answer choices, I need to do my active reading strategy. Again, we do not want answer choices to affect our understanding of the passage. So, I mean, first of all, we can eliminate a lot of the, introductory dependent clauses, prepositional phrases to get to the core of the sentence. So, like, first I eliminate this introductory clause, and I'm left with the main idea here, which is it might behoove online platforms to consider implementing business models focused on more sustainable growth and healthier user engagement, right? That is the core claim of this passage. Then it says, sites and social media platforms have already started overhauling their algorithms, but it is far from clear, again, after eliminating some of these prepositional phrases here, but it is far from clear whether these solutions will have any meaningful impact, and attempts may very well backfire. So again, two main claims about algorithms here. So clearly, our topic is algorithms. Our main idea is that tech companies should basically change these algorithms to promote healthier user engagement. The second claim, though, is it's not clear if these efforts will work. So based on the question, something that would weaken it, we would have to either weaken the claim that tech companies should change algorithms to promote healthier user engagement, or the claim that it's not clear if these efforts will work, right? So we have really two options here because we have two claims. So we look at our answer choices here. So which finding, if true, would directly weaken the author's claim, again, about the likelihood of changing these algorithms? So A, companies are realizing that it is in their financial best interest to retool algorithms to make content less addicting. Would that weaken the claim? No, that would support it, right? So again, important to read the question carefully. If you're not, keying in on the fact that you need something that actually contradicts or weakens the claim, you might think, oh, A is great, it supports, the main idea, but no, in this case, we need to weaken it. So yeah, I would, first of all, very quickly eliminate A. It doesn't weaken the claim. B, research shows social media companies encouraging the exploration of different interests see higher user engagement. Now that might relate to this part that it's not clear if these efforts will work. Well, this would suggest that it is clear if these efforts will work. So B seems possible. I'm not sure it's 100%. It doesn't really touch the idea that they should do this. It doesn't provide evidence that would weaken that claim. But yeah, B doesn't seem incorrect. I would leave B for now. C, attempts to overhaul algorithms to promote healthier user engagement have not been attempted at scale. At scale, again, at like a large scale, right? I don't really see a claim there about, the effectiveness or whether they should do this. It just states a fact they haven't done it. I don't really like C. I might leave that for now. And then D, an increasing number of social media platforms are investing in new areas like virtual reality. That doesn't even discuss our topic, right? That is so far off, it's not even on really the same topic. I mean, yes, the social media platforms, but virtual reality isn't talking about changing the algorithms. So yeah, D I would eliminate quickly. Between B and C, you can see B clearly relates more to that second claim that the author's making. And in fact, yes, B is our correct answer here. Okay, let's now look at a second passage. Okay, so Hattie Elzane, a computer scientist studying algorithmic learning theory at University of Pennsylvania, equates the system with selling junk food. If your grocer learned that you don't like vegetables or protein and only offered you foods that satisfied your sweet tooth, it would be detrimental to your long-term health. And algorithms, much like sugar, are designed to deliver instant gratification rather than provide benefits over the long term. So according to Elzane, the rationale behind this is a principle from economics called revealed preference, which dictates that to maximize engagement or make money, you should follow what somebody does, not what they'll say they do. Okay. Now, you see the blank and you think, clearly you're right, this is something like which choice logically completes the text. Also notice here, a lot of times you'll have a bit more substantial intro to a blank, but this is just over time, okay? So we're continuing a line of thought, like going back to our transition video, right? It's not a contrast. we're continuing something, we're showing maybe long-term effects or how this would play out over the longer term. Okay, so let's eliminate some unnecessary information. Again, as you get good at this strategy, you should sort of be doing this in one step. As you're reading the passage, eliminating that information, or really just keying in on, the essential parts of the independent clauses. But yeah, we eliminated the, dependent clause here that just explains about who Hadi El-Zain is. We eliminated the participle phrases here. We eliminated introductory clause. And then, again, some prepositional phrases. So we're left with Hadi El-Zain equates the system with selling junk food. If your grocer only offered you foods that satisfied your sweet tooth, it would be detrimental to long-term health. Okay, so this expresses an opinion, right? They're not really persuading us, but yeah, expressing an opinion that this is a bad thing. So on the edge of being persuasive. Also notice, though, it's not the author necessarily. It is the person that the author is quoting. Some terms that might be, or I should say sometimes that might be an important distinction, but let's keep reading on. Algorithms are designed to deliver instant gratification rather than provide benefits over the long term. Okay, once again, arguing about negative effects of algorithms. And then we get this part about the rationale behind this principle is revealed preference, which dictates you should follow what somebody does, not what they'll say they do. Okay, so our topic here, once again, is algorithms, very similar to our last passage. Our main idea is that they are based on this idea of revealed preference, which maximizes user engagement based on what they do, not what they want. Implicit in that, though, is this idea that this is a negative practice, and it can be detrimental to long-term health. So yeah, the purpose here, bordering on informative or persuasive, I would say slightly leaning persuasive, and that happens in some passages, right? They might be informing you about other people's opinions, or those opinions, might be based on facts that, are, pretty widely accepted, but might argue that something is bad, like in this case. Okay, so we need something that logically completes the text and probably relates to this idea of revealed preference being bad and how it has negative consequences. Okay, so we look at our answer choices. A, the type of content that initially suits a particular taste may no longer satiate it. So algorithms increasingly turn to more potent content to satisfy a user's craving and keep them coming back for more. That seems like it would relate to this idea of maximizing engagement and following what somebody does. So they have this taste, they keep coming back for it, and then they keep delivering again, offering up this, instant gratification. So A seems possible. B, users learn to control their urges and promote healthier choices than those they made originally. Okay, that's going to contradict, right, the main idea of this passage. And again, we have over time here. There's no contrast that introduces the blank, so B clearly is not going to work for us. C, businesses are able to dictate the type of content users consume, giving them more influence on users' behavior. Now, that is a negative, effect of this. I don't know if that quite relates to revealed preference. Possibly. I would leave C for now. I'm not quite convinced. I think it's not incorrect. I'm not sure if it's correct, but and then D, the cumulative effect is positive, though, as the short-term effects of instant gratification outweigh any long-term downsides. Again, that's going to contradict, our main idea of the passage. So, between A and C, A seems much more closely related to this idea of revealed preference, and in fact, yes, A is our correct answer. All right, everybody, so again, you saw today how I use the process of elimination and those active reading strategies to answer these evidence-based, reading questions. Again, you need to think of this in the larger context of like a comprehensive strategy. Now, I know, again, it seems time-consuming when you start, but again, if you get the practice and this becomes so second nature, you just integrate this kind of into your thought process as you are reading passages, and you will find that, it will be just so useful and really help you get those score increases. If you feel like you need more help or maybe some direction to your studying, please go to alcoras.com. What you can do there is take full-length practice tests. It will give you a very precise breakdown of how you're doing on all these issues, so you can really prioritize your studying on those issues that you most need to improve. There's also a lot of very cool features. We have a college database you can use to search for majors or programs, or look at acceptance rates, or find links to all the application information that you will need. We have personality testing that will help you really shape applications. It will help you look for majors, and really just it's like get to know yourself, which is really important on these applications as you're thinking about how to represent yourself in whether it be your personal essays or your activities. So again, something that's very useful. You can also generate application task lists to help organize application components and really get a schedule down so you can make sure that you don't miss any deadlines. We've designed this with students and parents in mind, and it should just help you make your whole college application process that much easier.